Welcome to Sports from the Couch.
I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
With your host, Mike Mercado.
Players cannot stand him. Coaches cannot stand him. Most importantly, the fans can't stand him.
Brought to you by Mercado Airwaves.
I'm gonna say it once, and hopefully I'm wrong, but it's a disaster waiting to happen.
That is so bad, that is absolutely brutal.
Welcome in, friends, to another edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Before we get to today's subjects, let's go ahead and take care of some housekeeping notes. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at Mike M Media. I'm on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media, and you can be interactive with the show on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. Play video games with us at twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves. Become a producer of the network at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. You can also get our interviews ad-free and before anybody else with athletes and celebrities at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. You can support us by showing off some of the swag we have at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have a bunch of cool logos and designs that you can wear all year long at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. And, of course, give us a like, rate, and review us wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. It really helps us grow the brand. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into our main subjects today on Saturday, August 22nd, 2020, in the beautiful city of Chicago. It is about 8 a.m. as we are recording this, and it seems like the White Sox have finally stopped hitting home runs over the Chicago Cubs as they absolutely destroyed the Northsider this past Friday in the first game of the Crosstown Classic. The White Sox beat the Cubs 10-1.
Robert a drive. Deep left field, and it is gone. Bring him home, 2-0 Sox. That was cannon fire.
We'll see if he throws it in the dirt.
Stayed up. Jose swats it left center field. Way back there at the wall. Bring them all home. 3-run home run. Jose Abreu. Oh, that ball's crushed. Way out of here. Way out of here. Top row thunder.
Let's take the angle first of a bad outing from Jon Lester, right? He only went 3 2/3 on Friday, gave up 9 hits, 8 earned runs, only had 3 strikeouts. The offense didn't really help much either. Ian Happ went 0 for 4. You had Anthony Rizzo go 0 for 2, was taken out of the game. Nico Horner went 1 for 2. Javier Baez 1 for 3. No Chris Bryant, an 0 for 4. Jason Kipnis, nothing from Willie, nothing from Schwarber, nothing from Bodie, nothing from Hayward. The only real hits and offense came from Carantini and Horner. Nothing from Perez, nothing from Almora. Dallas Keuchel was on point yesterday. 8 innings, 6 hits, only 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts. But let's also now talk about this freaking White Sox offense. We knew it was so good when it was running on all cylinders. And you get Luis Robert back today, and what does he do? He goes ahead and hits a home run. Eloy Jimenez loves playing in Wrigley Field. And it's a damn shame if you're a Cub fan, because you can only imagine what he could have done for that team. Jose Abreu shows up. Tim Anderson has a nice game. Adam Engel, Danny Medic. This team is so good when they're right. And if their top of their pitching rotation is right, they can make a lot of noise. Just to give you an idea, the White Sox entered Friday number 1 in baseball and home runs, OPS, 5th in average against left-handed pitching. And they utilized that against a pitcher who doesn't have his stuff anymore. And I mean that in the most respectful way possible. Jon Lester has, in his first 4 starts, which is around 23 innings, had not allowed 7 earned runs in those 4 starts. And they blew that out of the water on Friday night. Because Jon Lester has been pitching very smartly. He's not trying to overpower people. He's using that veteran grit and knowledge to get guys out, to make the best of what is a breaking down body, who's thrown a lot of pitches in the playoffs, in the regular season, big moments. And you have a White Sox team that does not care. You got Tim Anderson talking about, let's see who has the biggest pants. Right now, it's the White Sox. From the swag to the bats, it does not matter. This White Sox team has showed up. And we can talk about schedules. What's interesting is the Cubs really hadn't played a dominant team. They had that weird series against the Brewers, and then they had that doubleheader and that one random game, that 5-game series in 3 days against the Cardinals. Now, say what you will, those are tough games to win in general just because of the situation. But the real trophy of the Cubs season so far has been beating up on Cleveland. For the White Sox, this was the statement game. We heard they're like 9-1 against Detroit and Kansas City, so they're beating up on the bottom dwellers of their side of the AL Central, just like the Cubs are doing in the NL Central. But this is a matchup where more for the White Sox than the Cubs. This is a coming out party. And now because of what's happened in New York with the COVID testing, this Cubs-White Sox game is now going from an afternoon game to prime time on Fox, on Big Fox. This is a big game for the White Sox to really show themselves. And after finding out that we won't get the Field of Dreams game, you know baseball wants to market both these Chicago teams. And they both have swag. One has pedigree of championships. One has aspirations of championship pedigree. And you can put these two things together, and you see it when you're at these games. When you're watching them on television, there's a different energy to it. It's not just mom versus dad, brother versus sister, brother, uncle. It's none of that. These are two good baseball teams going against each other. And there's a lot on the line this weekend. If you're the White Sox, you're trying to move up in the division. And if you're in the Cubs, you're trying to maintain a division lead. I mean, we'll jump into the AL Central standings right now. At 17-10, you have the Twins. At 16-10, you have Cleveland. And at 16-11, you have the White Sox. Now, we know the top two teams automatically make it into the playoffs. And then we have the wild card stuff. The White Sox are in the playoff hunts. They're in the playoffs. But there's a lot of teams there still. You still have the Blue Jays at 13-11. The Rays at 17-10, and then the Yankees at 16-9 on top of the AL East. In the AL West, you have the 19-8 Athletics, the 15-11 Astros. Everybody counted them out to begin the season. And then from there, the Rangers are to drop off at 10-15. So the White Sox are in good position. But you don't want to give up a lot of games. You don't want to give up those leads. You want to maintain proper momentum, especially if you can start getting some of these pitchers back and you keep these bats healthy. Yohan Moncada didn't even play on Friday night. That White Sox team is legit. I know a lot of people were just hoping maybe they can make a playoff run, especially when we were just talking about 162 pre-pandemic. Yeah, it would have been nice to see them 81 games, maybe a little bit over 500, and then maybe make a run at the wild card. But right now, the way everything is set up, they're a dangerous team in a series. Empty arenas? Come on. I'm not testing this White Sox team. The dangerous team. It just so happens that they're playing a gnarly AL Central. We can look at the NL Central, the Cubs at 16-9. You have the Cardinals at 7-8, the Brewers at 11-13, the Reds at 11-13, the Pirates at 5-17. So first thing you look at is the Cardinals, obviously just trying to have to make up these games. Can they do it? How will they do it? Injuries are going to get everybody. Everybody in this pandemic season, 60 games, they're going to have injuries. The real question is, how do you bounce back from that? How's your depth going to be with that? I don't know how good that is for the Cardinals. The Brewers and the Reds just can't seem to quite get right in these 60 games. That's why it was really important for the Cubs to have this big division lead so early on, because we knew there was going to be baseball. And what I mean by that is baseball is going to baseball. You're going to have win streaks. You're going to have cold streaks. You're not going to always go 8-2 in your 10. Right now the Cubs are 4-6 in their last 10. But if I look at the White Sox right now, you're looking at a team that's gone 8-2. That's going to even out both sides. But the point is, you take advantage when you're in one of those moments. When you're doing that. When you can have 4 home runs. When you have your Cuban Missile machines on that lineup destroying people. Take advantage of it now. And as a Cub fan, it sucks to see this happen. But at the same time, better now and against the White Sox than when you were playing that 5-game series against the Cardinals. Or you're playing a 4-game series against the Brewers. Take your licks now and get right. Get Chris Bryant back in that lineup. Get Javi Baez right. This Cubs team has been held together by strong starting pitching, Jeremy Jeffers, and the bottom of the lineup, and especially Ian Happ. But the superstars need to show up on this Cubs team. The reason why there's so much passion from so many fan bases and so many experts and so many pundits Anybody has a chance at the brass ring this year. You will never have an easier opportunity to win a World Series, to win a pennant than right now. From the New York Yankees and LA Dodgers to the Chicago White Sox and Tampa Bay Rays and everybody in between, the Astros, the Cubs, does not matter. Right now, 2020 is the easiest, quote unquote, route to a World Series. There's a lot of things on your way. There's obstacles, but it's not 162 games. You don't get a lot of tape on people. You're given the benefit of the doubt with your roster. There's players in this league that are super important to teams that aren't playing right now. And as long as you can maintain protocol, play good baseball, and stay healthy for the most part, you have a legitimate chance at winning a World Series. And when I see the White Sox put 10 runs against the Cubs, John Lester, and almost do it like they're not just as somebody who's watching the sport or fans of the White Sox, as themselves expecting that they're going to do that. They expect greatness from themselves. And you got to like that. You got to fear that if you're an opponent of them. That White Sox team is legit. And for the Cubs, it's baseball. You get rocked every once in a while. John Lester, a lefty, ran into a buzzsaw lineup. You hope he corrects it. You hope Kyle Hendricks, if you're a Cub fan, bounces back on primetime television Saturday night. And you hope that you go into Sunday, if you're a Chicago sports fan, with a series 1-1 to end the weekend. And both teams are in good position to make legitimate cases for themselves on why they can be possible World Series champions. Let me know your thoughts, though, of the Crosstown Classic Series. How do you think this is going to play out? Do the White Sox sweep? Do the Cubs take 2 of 1? Do the White Sox take 2 of 1? Let me know on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media, and the show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk.
It's hard to explain. Obviously, I've never picked that high as well. So I'll let it all always play out, because we're doing a bunch of rankings. And by the time, the draft comes, we have our draft board. And, a lot of opinions, and then minimize the noise and pick the player that, best available on the board. So that's going to be the strategy. And, there's a bunch of things happen during the draft. You're going to go move up. You're going to move down. Who knows? So there's going to be a lot of conversations with other teams, and it's exciting time.
And that was the voice of the executive vice president of basketball operations of your Chicago Bulls, who now own the number 4 draft pick in the 2020 NBA draft. And you can actually check out on youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves as I find out, like the rest of the world, that the Chicago Bulls moved up from pick 7 and 8 to number 4. And we were able to hypothesize, if you will, some stuff that we thought was going to happen after we found out this move. Where are they going to keep it? Where are they going to draft? What was the mindset going into it? And it seems that AK has given us kind of the blueprint of what they're looking for. And a lot of that has to deal with best available player. I think even at number 1, and we have to be honest with ourselves, even at number 1, there wasn't anybody who was the Zion of this year's draft, or was the LeBron of this draft, the Blake Griffin of this draft, the Derrick Rose of this draft. Number 4 has been friendly in the NBA to some organizations. Look at Russell Westbrook, picked at number 4. Chris Paul, number 4. Dikembe Mutombo at number 4. Chris Bosh at number 4. Rasheed Wallace at number 4. There's been plenty of guys who have not only had really good NBA careers, but have become all-stars, have become important players on championship teams. Number 4 is no joke. And it definitely isn't a joke when you see how excited people were when they saw that was the draft pick that the Bulls would have. And here are just some names that you keep seeing. LaMelo Ball, a guard. That'd be interesting to see if they want to do that. Anthony Edwards, who seems to be the number 1 draft pick in general, in most consensus picks. Now, Anthony Edwards is much more the traditional number 1. I think LaMelo is more the flashy toy. What can we get with him? Do you want the headache of LeVar Ball? I don't know if that's even the case anymore. Because what we've seen with the rest of the league, I don't know, and the rest of the Ball brothers, I don't know if the league even cares anymore about, the 3B brand, the big baller brand, But I think LaMelo has a chance of being a nice player in this league. The dark horse, and everybody keeps talking about, is this kid, Danny Avdija from Israel. And we're talking about a 6'9" forward. And they're calling him Luka Light. I don't want to compare him to that. But, I mean, he's shooting 33.3% from outside on 183 attempts in 2019, 2020 alone. And it seems like he's been the big dark horse, this big, offensive unicorn who does have some blemishes on him. But the big thing is, where would he play on this team? And you could say the same thing about James Wiseman. You could say the same thing about Obi Toppin. Like, there's a lot of guys you could say, well, where exactly are they going to play on this team? Doesn't matter. We heard from the horse's mouth himself that he is going to play by best available. And you could take the scouting out of it. You could take the names out of it, the potential out of it. In itself, that statement is so important and should be so encouraging for Chicago Bulls fans. The Chicago Bulls are in no position to try to get cute with this pick, to try to be hard-headed with this pick, to try to outsmart anybody with this pick. With this pick, all you have to do is best available. You're not looking at championships. You don't have that aspiration yet. You should one day. Your aspiration be, do we get back to relevancy in this league? How do we set ourselves up for the future? You see it across the league everywhere. People always talk about super teams. There are teams with superstars on them. But you need two legitimate stars on your team and the proper role players that accentuate what makes those two superstars great. And that is going to be the difference between most teams in the Eastern Conference to what the Boston Celtics are doing. They have intelligence, they have experience, and they got two talented guys in Brown and Tatum that are under 25 years old. With Kemba Walker, who is one of the most quietest, sneaky assassins in the NBA. You put talent on top of each other and you figure out the rest later. You can run into what happened in Philadelphia, where you can get a lot of talent, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and it just never meshes well. That happens. That's fair. But you can't be mad if you're Philadelphia that you got Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Tobias Harris. Like, you had bites at the apple. And you always feel like you do. Because you do have the talent and they're young, they're under contract. So when you're at pick number 4, you don't get to decide, well, we really need a 6'5" guard that's going to defend the perimeter. We don't really need anything else. You need that plus a guard that's going to cut to the lane, plus a guard that can shoot three-pointers, plus Lauri Markkanen that's going to hit his shots, plus Wendell Carter that's going to stay healthy. You need all these things. You don't have the luxuries of just waiting for something to happen or hoping for something to happen. To me, luck is not a strategy, and the old regime did that. It seems like this regime is not going into those traps. It's not about getting lucky and hoping you sign somebody, hoping somebody gets disgruntled. It's about getting your man, getting who you want in place, and putting yourself in the proper position by yourself, your own doing, having great scouting internationally, having relationships around the league, not only with other coaches or GMs, but assistant coaches, scouts. This league is so big and yet still such a fraternity. And it seemed like for so long the Chicago Bulls were just not part of that clique. And now, just kind of seeing how all this momentum is going, just kind of feeling the atmosphere, you could smell it, taste it, the tides have turned. And there is a lot of goodwill, not just in the city of Chicago, but in NBA Twitter, NBA Live, the NBA universe. People are excited about what's going on in West Madison. Or what's the potential of going on in West Madison. I think they keep this pick. I'm not sure if in the world of COVID, how you're going to be able to really make a deal and try to get somebody in your building to work them out and make sure you want to sign this deal, do a sign and trade. I don't know. But if they find a way to get somebody like an Anthony Davis out of Los Angeles, if they're able to entice somebody to say, here, we have this young core, we have this new coach, a new sense of identity in the front office, maybe that's enough. And the first step to me that's encouraging is hearing from the head guy himself in AK saying, we're picking best available, period. Who's the best talent that we can put on this roster? And too many times, people want to outsmart the room and overthink this thing. Pick the best guy on your draft board. Otherwise, you end up with Mitchell Trubisky instead of Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. Let me know your thoughts on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram Mike Mercado Media. You can follow the show on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. I just made myself upset bringing up the Mahomes, Watson, Trubisky draft. But that'll do it for us on this edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at Mike M Media. I'm on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. And you can be interactive with the show on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. Play video games with us at twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves. Become a producer of the network at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. You can also get our interviews ad-free and before anybody else with athletes and celebrities at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. You can support us by showing off some of the swag we have at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have a bunch of cool logos and designs that you can wear all year long at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. And of course, give us a like, rate, and review us wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. It really helps us grow the brand. It's going to be a busy weekend for us sports fans. The NBA playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, and of course, many rivalry games in the MLB, including my series of the weekend, the Chicago Cubs taking on the Chicago White Sox. What's going to happen to the Dallas Mavericks? Is Luka out for the series? So many questions will be answered after this weekend, and we will break it all down on the very next episode of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, enjoy all the games. We will see you next time here on Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm Mike Mercado.